Don't judge a book by from the cover. Chapter 1 Mismatch. Aira hated being late, but this time it wasn't her fault. The design studio printer had jammed for the third time this week, and she had practically sprinted across campus with rolled up concept boards tucked under one arm, coffee in the other. She arrived at the multi-purpose lab breathless, cheeks flushed, half expecting the engineering team to still be fumbling with wires and screws. Instead, one of them had already finished building the photostripe frame and was now sitting in the corner sketching something in a grease-stained notebook. The guy didn't even look up when she entered. Long-haired, hoodie pulled low, tattoo stretching his knuckles, Medallica humming faintly from his headphones. Ah, him, she thought. Reza. They hadn't really talked before, but she knew the type. The kind of guy who never showed up to events, but aced the technically busy way, silent in class, rumored to have once punched someone during a robotic competition, probably allergic to daylight. Her inner designer flinched at the grease under his fingernails. He glanced up just once as she set her boards on the table and nodded. Nothing more. Hi, I'm Ira, she offered, with her trademark cheerful tone. I know, he said flatly, then went back to sketching. She blinked. Okay, rude. But she forced a smile anyway. So, engineering meets art, cool name for a group, huh? Reza gave a non-committal shrug. Ira looked around. The rest of their assigned team hadn't arrived yet. Of course, it was only day one of this collaboration course, an experiment the university called Design Fusion Week. Its team had to build community-based innovation that fused functionality and creativity, something beautiful and useful. Did you build this already? She asked, motioning the aluminum skeleton on the table. Reza nodded. Its base for water pump, hand cranked, rural setup, doesn't need the power. Her eyes widened. That's brilliant. I was thinking something aesthetic for public spaces, like a mural or modular bench. He cut in. This isn't display. It's for villages that need water access. Oh, she said, thrown off by the sharpness in his tone. But her curiosity had latched onto something. You designed it? He nodded again, flipping a page in his notebook. Why this? I mean, why water? Reza paused. For a second, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, softly, as if speaking to himself, because you can't paint without water. You can't grow food. You can't wash wounds. You can't survive. The air between them stilled. Ira opened her mouth to say something, anything, but the door slammed open, and three other students spilled in, laughing so loudly the mood cracked like glass. Raja stood up, muted. I'll be back in a bit. I'll be back. And disappeared into the machine shop. Ira watched him go, unsure whether she just misjudged him or only started to understand how far off the surface his depth might run. Cracks and curiosities. The workshop smelled of metal and oil. A scent was so ordinary it almost became invisible. Except tonight, it carried a kind of quiet magic. Laras pushed open the heavy door and paused, watching the faint glow of a desk lamp illuminating a cluster of intricate pads scattered across the worn wooden bench. Reza was there, shoulder hunched, face aged with concentration, his tattooed arms moved with careful precision, assembling delicate components into a small, hand-powered irrigation system. Dark clothes, a stoic expression, and the faint clatter of tools filled the space around them. Lara hesitated, unsure if she would interrupt this sanctuary of solitude, but something inside urged her forward. Why do you work so late? Her voice was soft, curious, and offering rather than question. Reza flinched, almost imperceptibly, but didn't stop. I like quiet, he replied. His tone clipped but honest. She stepped fully inside, her eyes lingering on the prototype, a mix of wires and thin tubes. It's more than just the quiet, isn't it? You're building something important. For a moment, the silence rised. Then Reja's gaze lifted, meeting hers. It's for my village. The irrigation tree fails during the dry months. I'm trying to make something simple, hand powered so they won't have to rely on electricity. Russ felt a sudden warmth, a tenderness he hadn't expected that. That's beautiful. Not many people think about building hope like that. He gave humorless chuckle. Most people just see the tattoos and assume I'm troubled or lazy. They don't ask what I'm really doing. Maybe they're too busy looking at the cover. She said gently, but I wanna know the story behind the ink. Raja's eyes softened a little, as if the weight of judgment had lightened. It's a long story, he said quietly. For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the workshop and the faint scratch of tools filled the space between them, no longer walls but a bridge. Lara shifted her weight, glancing at the scattered scratches pinned to the wall nearby. Colorful design of flower, rivers, and children playing under bright skies. What are those? She asked. Reza nodded toward the drawings. Ada's work. She designed a mirror for the community center. Lara smiled. Ira? She's not just about social media or aesthetic. She works hard too. Multiple jobs. She dreams of creating spaces where people can come together, feel inspired. Raja's brow furrowed slightly. She seemed so superficial at first. Laura tilted her head, thoughtful. We all wear masks. Sometimes the surface is easier to see than what's underneath. He looked away, then back. I guess I'm not so different. They talked more as the night deepened about family struggles, about the weight of expectation, about quiet dreams held close. Raja shared how his mother's illness forced him to grow up so fast, how every late night was another chance to build a better future. Lara shared her own stories of juggling schools and jobs, of carving out meaning in a world that often judged her too quickly. The cracks in their armor began to show, not as weakness, but as openings for connections. Before she left, Laras placed small sketches next to the irrigation prototype. The delicate ivy vine wrapping around gears and symbol of life intertwined with machinery. Maybe this project is more than engineering or art, she said softly. Maybe it's about seeing the whole story. Reza looked at the sketch, then smiled faintly for the first time. Maybe you're right. As Lara stepped out into the cool night, the workshop's glow behind her seemed less lonely, and the beginning of something unspoken settled quietly between them. Curiosity, respect, that, and the fragile hope that understanding might grow. How does this feel, Tuan? More of that than sketches and still. The afternoons filtered gently through the tall windows of the design studio, casting soft beams across the scattered scratches, paint, and tools that littered the workspace. It was a quiet sanctuary from the noisy judgment that lingered outside. The whispers about Reza an era about mismatched pairs and unexpected alliances. Lara sat near the window, her pencil dancing lightly over the textured paper as she sketches the face of children laughing, playing beneath sprawling trees. The mural was more than just art. It was a story, a celebration of life, a resilience. Her fingers moved with purpose, tracing soft lines that spoke of hope and belonging. The door cracked open, and her heart lifted in surprise. He stepped inside, arms crossed loosely, holding of a bundle of rolled blueprints and technical drawings. Hey, he said, voice low but steady, as if unsure of how much to step into this lighter, more colorful world. Laras looked up, smiling warmly. I wasn't sure you'd come, she said, setting down her pencil, but I'm glad. He shrugged, easing to the room. I figured maybe it's time to see how your sketches turn into something real. She gestured to the table, and they unfurled the work side by side. The rough metal frames of the irrigation system lay next to her delicate drawings. Vines curling around pipes, water channels flowing like painted rivers. At first glance, they seem worlds apart, still and soft lines, precision and fluidity. But as they began to discuss the design, the boundaries blurred. Laras watched the way Reja's eyes lit up when she explained how the mural's color reflected the season of the village: spring green, summer gold, autumn red. He traced the blueprints, imagining how the water would flow beneath the painted panels, nourishing the earth and the community alike. There's an art to what you do, she said quietly, not just in machines but in how they fit into the world. Reza nodded slowly, and the structure to art more than I realized. They laughed softly, a rare ease settling between them. It was in these moments, the sharing of knowledge, the gentle teasing, that Lara saw in the real Reza beyond the dark clothes and tattoos. As the afternoon deepened, the conversation turned personal. Reza pulled out a worn photo from his backpack, an image of his village, green fields stretching to the horizon, dirt roads winding like veins through the land. This is what I do it. That's why, he said. The irrigation there is unreliable. My mother's health depends on it. I've spent nights trying to design something simple, affordable. Lara studied the photo, feeling the quiet strength beneath his world. It's more than a project, it's your story. He looked away for a moment, then back. Vulnerability flickering in his eyes. People see the tattoos and dark clothes, assume I'm angry or lazy. They don't see this. She reached out, brushing a loose strand of her from his forehead. Maybe they're too loud to hear what you're really saying. The workshop felt warmer somehow, the space between them shrinking. Lara shared her own truths: the struggle of balancing schools with multiple part-time jobs, the pressures to appear effortless when life was anything but. She told about areas dreams to create spaces where community could thrive, not just through art but through connection. Together, they wove their stories. At one point, Lara picked up a small brush and began adding ivy vines curling around the irrigation pipes, a symbol of life in one with machinery. Softness wrapping around strength, Reza was mesmerized. It's beautiful. The afternoon slipped into evening, and the once separate worlds of sketches and style merged into something new, a shared vision of creativity and care, where art was not just decoration and engineering was not just a function. When Laras finally picked up, she felt a quiet house stirring. In Reza's presence, she discovered that people were never just what they seem at first glance. Beneath every cover was a story waiting to be told, if only someone cared to listen. As they parted, Reza smiled softly, the kind of smile that promised more than words could say, and Laras knew this way only in the beginning. Judged by many, the campus courtyard was alive with the chatter, laughter, students smiling between classes, exchanging opinion like currency. But beneath the surface buzz, Lars felt the sharp edge of judgment slicing through the air. Whispers, sideway glances aimed at the unlikely partnership that formed between Reza and Aira. She stood by the fountain, watching as a group of students gathered near the steps, their voices low but pointed. Have you seen them? Reza and Aira like fire and ice. Yeah, it's bizarre. She's all social media install and he's, well, the brooding guy who looks like he's auditioning for a rock band. Lara's heart tightened. She knew how quick people were to judge, to paint stories with broad strokes instead of details. But she also knew something else, the strength that comes from standing together against that noise. Reza approached, dark eyes scanning the crowd, tension calling into his gesture. Lara stepped forward, meeting his gaze. They're talking, she said softly. He nodded, let them. Doesn't change anything. But Lara saw the flicker of doubt beneath his calm. Ada joined them, bright and fearless, her usual confident smile sharpening into something fierce. They don't understand, she said, a voice carrying across the corridor. That's just not what you think. He's more disciplined, more driven than anyone here. A murmur of surprise rippled through the group. If you think silence means nothing to say, Ida continued, maybe you're too loud to hear it. Laras felt pride swell quietly within her. This were this was more than friendship, it was alliance. A refusal to be boxed in by shallow opinions. Laras' expression softened as he glanced at Aura, then at Laras. Thanks, he said simply. The crowd began to disperse, the weight of the words lingering in the air. Later that evening, the three of them gathered in the studio, surrounded by the sketches, blueprints, and paints, splatter tables. The tension of the day melted into quiet determination. Their project, the fusion of art and engineering, felt more vital now, a symbol of breaking molds and telling true stories. Raja looked around. There was a genuine smile lighting his face. This ours. Laras nodded. Not just a project, but a statement. And beneath the steady hum of the city night, something unspoken bloomed. Trust, respect, and the courage to be seen beyond the cover. Final display. The day of the campus exhibition arrived with a crisp breeze that chased the fluttering banners and stirred the leaves of the courtyard trees. The entire university had gathered to showcase projects that bridges disciplines, but none drew as much attention as the collaboration between Reza and Aira. Lara arrived early, heart throbbing with anticipation. The space that claimed was both striking and unexpected. A hand-powered water irrigation system, functional, elegant, framed by hand-painted panels alive with color of life. The mural, Aira's creation, wrapped around the metal framework, depicting scenes from Reza's village, the rolling green fields, children playing near streams, and elders tending to crops. Everyone crawled along the pipes a mother flowers helped refine, symbolizing the intertwining of nature and technology. A small plaque bore both their names, Reza and Aira, side by side. Student, professor, visitors flowed through the exhibit, murmuring in admiration. Some paused, taking photos, others asked questions, intrigued by seamless blend of artistry and engineering. Raja stood beside the display usually reserved, but today's portraits held something new, quiet pride. Aira moved with brightly smile, explaining the concept, sharing stories of the village, the inspiration behind its brushstroke. Let us watch them from distance, feeling warm arise in her chest. As the crowd thinned, Reza caught Lara's eye and gave a small, genuine smile. The first she'd seen from him in public. Ira joined them, her cheeks flushed with excitement. I added your initial to the mural, she said, nudging Reza gently. You're part of the story now. Reza looked down, then back up at her, surprise, gratitude mingling in his expression. Laras pulled out her phone, posted a photo of the mural to social media, captioning it, not every cover tells the story. Some are just waiting for someone to open the first page. The post quickly gathers like and comments. Words of support, surprise, and encouragement. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the three friends stood together, the glow of accomplishment surrounding them. Raja spoke quietly, voice steady but filled with emotion. Thank you for seeing me, for believing in what we can build. Ira grinned, eyes shining, we're just getting started. Lara smiled, feeling the promise of new beginnings in the air. In that moment, the judgment and assumptions fell away, replaced by the undeniable truth that people are more than appearance, that stories unfold only when someone chooses to listen. And for Reza, Ira, and Laras, the first page had finally been turned.